Hello, and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content. My name is Dan, and it's team news day, basically. Yeah, early deadline today, Friday deadline, which is great fun for me because it means I don't need to wake up early on a Saturday morning. But it does mean we are a little bit tight for time when looking through all the press conferences and injury news. In fact, one of the press conferences, and that is Emery. He always does his press conferences so late on a Friday. So that's currently going on right now. So we will be able to give you Watkins updates by the end of the stream. But for now, we've got plenty of other news to go through, including the likes of Gakpo, which is really significant, and we do need to talk about that. So we're going to have a look through the injury news today. We're going to look through the replacements as well of players you might want to think about bringing in, particularly in that forward position. Because we do know we do have some definite injuries already, 100% injuries, players who will be out for multiple weeks. And that's going to be the likes of Jackson and Ndai. I know some of you guys have Jackson. More of you might have Ilman Ndai of Everton in your FPL team. So hopefully we're going to be able to help you guys out. So guys, if you enjoy this one, do drop a like. Do feel free to subscribe. If you are new around here, we are aiming for, 220,000 subscribers this season. That is the goal, and we are 500 subscribers off our season goal, which is amazing. So thank you so much for all of the support there. Let's go through some team news. Let's do it, guys. Let's get it going. So let's start off right here, and we are on the Fantasy Football Hub website looking through their team news article because I think it's just quicker and easier to display it that way. They do a really good job here. So yeah, more than happy to use their fabulous resources to help us out today. If, of course, you want to check out Fantasy Football Hub, there's probably a link somewhere in the description, but there we go. So let's start off with Arsenal. That is the first team here. We have got some injuries at Arsenal, meaning there's going to be a real shift in the attacking areas. Havertz is out for the season, unfortunately, and we also see Martinelli with a recent injury. Saka is still not going to be out for a fair few weeks. Still could be over a month before he is back. We do, however, have Ben White, I believe, could be available for this week. So that's the only minor change, but I don't think he's going to start. So looking at Arsenal, we're probably looking at setting up something a little like this with Sterling, Trossard and Nwaneri. Well, at the start of the season, you would have called them the backup brigade of the Arsenal front line, but it seems now that these are going to be the three guys starting in the forward position. Interestingly, Trossard is definitely a player of interest here. So if we have a look at Trossard, he is only 6.8 million. And we expect him to play in the striker position for this game against Leicester and against West Ham, and possibly for a few games going forward as well, all the way up to the Gameweek 29 blank. So this is what we're looking at. A nice, cheap midfielder playing out of position as a striker for Arsenal could be very nice. But Nwaneri is the other interesting guy. And the reason for that is because he's only 4.5 million and he should be very good for minutes. He is obviously a player who has already got several goals in an Arsenal shirt, including a goal against Man City during his cameo appearance last game week. So at 4.5 million, if you're looking for a super cheap player, you need to free up some budget somehow. And I know some people are eyeing up certain moves, including Watkins. If you are looking to downgrade one of your midfielders to try and afford Watkins, selling one of your midfielders, downgrading them to 4.5 Ethan Nwaneri could be very interesting as well. Could be very interesting. Phil in the chat says he may push Lewis Skelly up the pitch and play Calafiori as well. Yeah, I mean, it's a possibility, but I would say Lewis Skelly is more likely to play in a midfield position. I don't know if he's really a winger at this moment in his career. I guess it's a possibility. We could see Lewis Skelly on the left wing, possibly, and Calafiori left back. There's a chance of that, but I think more than likely this is what we're going to be looking at. We'll go through some of the other teams here. We can't do Aston Villa yet because we are still waiting for press conference. But as for Brighton, not too much change here other than Lewis Dunk is going to be unavailable. So no Dunk. I think that's probably the only one worth noting from an FPL perspective. For Chelsea, Jackson is going to be out for around a month, we think. So as a Jackson owner, it's not great. 2nd of April is where FPL have put his expected return date back. It could be slightly earlier than that. There's a chance he makes it into Game Week 29, but Game Week 29 away against Arsenal, if you have him, he's an absolute sell, although you probably didn't need an injury to realise that. Elsewhere in the Chelsea setup, we're expecting things to be pretty normal. The only other concern around Chelsea is the goalkeeper, who previously it was Sanchez playing. Now we have got confirmation from Enzo Maresca that Jorgensen is going to be the starting goalkeeper for Chelsea from here on, at least until anything changes again. So Sanchez owners, you are going to look to move him on. Is Nkunku interesting at all? Maybe, because he was so overhyped at the start of the season, and I definitely have to take some responsibility for that overhyping of Nkunku. He was highly owned at the start of the season, and because so many people sold him early in the season, he's now down to 5.7 million, which is really quite cheap. Now, would you take him against Brighton and Aston Villa away? Maybe, but Southampton at home and Leicester at home are really nice fixtures. So if you're looking for a differential a little later down in the season, an out-of-position Christopher Nkunku could genuinely be quite interesting. But it's probably a little bit early to go on there. We'd like to see him pick up a little bit of form with some starts. But it should be Nkunku starting as the striker, considering that the likes of what's his name, Mark Gu, is that how we pronounce his name? Mark Gu, never know how to say it. He is also injured, so it's going to be Nkunku up front. Let's continue on to some other teams. Everton, and Ndai is going to be out for several weeks apparently, so yeah, needs to be sold. Team lineup could look a little bit like this. Although I have to say, I would imagine O'Brien is more likely to be the right back there. For Ipswich, do we care about Ipswich from an FPL perspective? Delap's fine. He's probably the most interesting guy. Smodics is out. For Leicester, we have a few players maybe coming back. Vardy, Vestergaard, Christensen into the starting 11, but honestly, Leicester have been so poor recently, I wouldn't touch any of their assets in FPL with a 10-foot barge pole. Liverpool. Okay, this is where things get interesting. This is where things get very, 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 very interesting. So, Cody Gakpo. It's not looking good, Briv. It's not looking good, Briv. I have to be honest. As someone who used the assistant manager on slot last week, I feel this has definitely played into my hands a little bit here. And I think a lot of people who have assistant manager on slot will not have Gakpo, so they won't have to deal with this issue. And believe me when I say, us slot assistant manager people really need a bit of fortune, considering, you know, you Moyes guys from last week absolutely dominated us. Triple captain us last week on Salah, dominated us as well. So a lot of people who were on Moyes last week and who triple captain last week will have Gakpo in their team. So they did brilliantly in Game Week 24, but they will have a potential issue to deal with this week. And it might even be worth a hit depending on if you've already made transfer moves or what. But certainly what I would say is that Gakpo is unlikely to play in the first game. Now, from Slot's comments, it doesn't seem like the Gakpo injury is significant. However, he wasn't in training today. And given that Liverpool play Sunday, is there going to be enough time between now and Sunday for Gakpo to make himself available? And does he even need to be made available, given the fact that we have got Jota and Darwin now available to play, fully fit, ready to go? I think for the game against Aston Villa, we have a good chance of Gakpo starting. But the game against Wolves, I don't think he'll start. So it's kind of it's kind of up to you in a way. I think if you believe Slot that the injury is not significant and you think there's a good chance that by Wednesday next week, which is 5 days away still, the Gakpo could be back for that game. I mean, Gakpo in a single game week is not the end of the world. It is not the worst thing. It could be a lot worse. And if you are selling Gakpo to try and get that guaranteed double game week Liverpool player, whether that's another player or a manager, that's going to require 2 transfers because you're not going to go for Darwin Nunez. You're probably going to either go for, I don't know, a Trent if you don't have him, maybe another defender, or Slot as your manager potentially there as well. So it's going to cost you 2 transfers to remove Gakpo no matter what you do. Unless you haven't used your assistant manager yet. And that is the exception. If you haven't used your assistant manager, what you definitely could do is downgrade Gakpo. And this is probably what I would do if I was someone who is yet to activate my assistant manager. I activated it in Gameweek 24, but if you haven't done it yet, I would seriously consider downgrading Gakpo, freeing up a little bit of money, and then using your assistant manager on Arne Slot. Definitely think that's a possibility if you don't fancy Emery. But I also don't think it's a horrible idea to just keep Gakpo, particularly if it requires taking a -4. Because I still do think that there's a good chance he plays against Aston Villa. Aston Villa are a team that do concede goals. I think that there is a good chance that if Gakpo does start in that second game, he can get attacking returns in that game. So I don't think there's a real problem with just keeping Gakpo. But if there is another opportunity here, i.e. for those only activating their assistant manager chip in Game Week 25 and going for Slot, downgrading Gakpo, no hits taken there, then why not? Then absolutely why not? But generally speaking, I don't think Gakpo is a must sell. And another reason for that is the fixtures. So after Aston Villa, Man City is a decent game for Gakpo. There will be goals in that game. Newcastle at home, not so great. But Southampton at home in Game Week 28, if you can get Gakpo playing, starting in that fixture, that could be another really nice score for him. So I don't think you have to sell Gakpo right now. If you're not free hitting in Game Week 29, you're probably going to sell him in the 29 area. But it's not 100% necessary. It's, I don't know, arguably a little bit luxury if you are taking hits to remove Gakpo. So you could do it. You don't have to. But that's kind of, I don't know. Hopefully that answers a lot of questions around Gakpo and what you should do with him. I think for most people, you can probably afford to keep him. I don't think I would sell him for a hit, but if you could do it for free, and if it opens up other opportunities for you as an FPL manager, then I definitely would consider it. Definitely. So let's go through some of these other teams. Gordon, Eddie Howe says that Gordon should be fine, but do you believe Eddie Howe? Because Eddie Howe is a little bit of a liar. He has been known to lie in the past, so you never fully trust Eddie Howe. And I certainly think Gordon is a player that you could sell if you had a player in mind. You know, if you're looking for a new Bournemouth midfielder, you want to downgrade a midfielder down to Nwaneri in order to upgrade another area of your pitch, then that's definitely a possibility as well. If you fancy a punt on Trossard, again, Gordon is a player who I would be willing to sell. Definitely be willing to sell him. But likely to be fine, according to the manager. So make of that what you will. No real news on Nottingham Forest other than Awoniyi is going to be unavailable. He's picked up an injury, which nails on wood for 90 minutes more so than ever. And then we have West Ham. Bowen is predicted to start up front despite the signing of Ferguson. So I know some people are looking at Ferguson. Not sure if I'd go there quite yet. I'd like to see him start first of all. And I think that is the bulk of the main news today. Other than Ollie Watkins. I wonder if the article is updated yet. No, it hasn't. But the press conference is going on right now. And I believe Watkins has trained, but let's verify that here. Okay, so FPL Villain says Watkins and Mings have trained and are fit. Konsa is out. So this is really super interesting. This is really super interesting. So yeah, Watkins, the Watkins update is that Watkins is available for the double game week. Trained, will be in the squad. This is very good news if you fancy a little pump. So I'm going to have a look at my team and see if I can work out a way of getting Ollie Watkins in. But I do want to have a look through the forwards generally, because there's a few guys that I like that I want to talk about as potential forward replacements if you did want to go there. We got a super chat here from Involt. Thank you very much, Involt. And they say, oops, didn't write the message on the super chat. No problem. Should I transfer Bruno out to Cliver or Ahmad to Dango? Basically just asking whether to keep Ahmad or Bruno. I think if you are making an upgrade elsewhere on your pitch, either this week or next week, then downgrading Bruno could be really, really nice. Freeing up that money to make other moves in your team could be pretty exciting. If this is just a luxury transfer, you don't really have a plan for it, then I'd be more tempted to do the Ahmad move. Ahmad to Dango is very nice as well. I do prefer Cliver, but there's very little in it. There's not a big gap there. And when you consider the price difference, could be nice to have Dango. But yeah, like for example, if you wanted to try and get Ollie Watkins in your team this week, downgrading Fernandes to Cliver could be a really nice way of doing that. Really nice way. So there you go. Right, let's have a look at before we have a look at my team and how I can manage to get Watkins in. I'm going to try and have a look at some solutions, and we'll answer some of your questions as well. I want to have a look first at the forwards and which ones we should maybe go for. So forwards, because this is the big one really. There's so many midfield options. There's so many great answers, but forwards is a little more difficult. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at the last 6 game weeks on the Fantasy Football Hub Opta Stats tool. We're going to go per start, and we're going to order these forwards by, let's go expected goal involvements. And we do see Mateta, Isak and Wissa up front. Now it should be noted that Crystal Palace and Newcastle, 99.99%, are going to blank in game week 29. I could go into the reasons why they might not blank. Basically, it's if both Newcastle and Crystal Palace get knocked out of the FA Cup in the next round. Even then, there's still only a small chance of the Crystal Palace Newcastle fixture being just moved to later in game week 29, but it's just so unlikely. It's not even really worth thinking about. But yeah, let's just assume Mateta and Isak are unavailable. That puts Whistler in third here for expected goal involvements per start. 0.9 XGI per start is really, really good. And he's a player taking plenty of shots. 3.83 shots per game, 3 in the box, 1.5 big chances per game. Whistler is genuinely putting up some really good numbers and has some really nice fixtures in the next 2. Just seen in the chat, is Flecken playing? Yeah, we didn't go through Flecken, but Flecken is available, yeah. Flecken is going to be available for you guys this week. Good news on that, if you are a Flecken owner. Haaland, very expensive. We will be talking about him soon, because it's pretty likely that Haaland will have a double game week in game week 33. So Haaland will be coming into our thinking soon, particularly for those who will be wildcarding around game week 30, 31. That's going to be big. After that, we have Jesus, who is unavailable. Wood, fixtures look pretty tough for him right now. I know a lot of people will be actually benching Wood this week. Vardy, Beto, probably not going to go for these guys right now. I mean, Beto is okay if you're looking for someone super cheap, but I don't think is needed necessarily. Jackson's injured. Delap, probably not going to go there. So the options are kind of limited, and the 3 forwards that I like the look of probably the most at the moment are, to buy this week, are these 3 guys. Wissa, Watkins, Cunha. 3 different prices. I guess Wissa and Cunha are kind of similar prices in a way. Watkins a little bit more expensive, but all 3 I think are reasonably good options. All three have performed this season. They've been good for points all season. Cunha and Watkins penalty takers, which is very nice. That adds a little bit of confidence to these kind of guys when you compare them to Wissa, who is obviously putting up the superior numbers at the inferior price or superior price, depends on how you look at it. So let's have a look at their fixtures now. And there's going to be different people going for different strategies here. Some people will be looking at a free hit in Game Week 29. Others will be trying to roll through Game Week 29 without the use of a free hit. And certainly if you are free hitting in Game Week 29, I think going for an Ollie Watkins, now that we know he's available, is very, very tempting. Very, very tempting indeed. And I would make an effort to make it happen. I really would. If you are not free hitting in Game Week 29, I think it does become a little bit more difficult. And we have Cunha at Wolves and Wissa at Brentford as I think the big two transfer targets in that cheaper bracket. The next 2 game weeks are definitely better for Wissa and Brentford compared to Cunha. Liverpool away, Bournemouth away. These are really tough fixtures for the Wolves boys. Really tough fixtures. Liverpool and Bournemouth, arguably the 2 informed teams of the Premier League right now. And even after that, Fulham at home, Everton at home. Are these great fixtures? Not really. If we go through some of the defensive data, let's go 10 game week defensive data for Premier League teams. We'll just go to the defensive tab here. Non-penalty expected goals against. You can see Fulham in 4th here, Everton in 5th. Aston Villa a little bit lower. So I know I have seen some people saying, yeah, I prefer Wissa for the next 2, but then I maybe prefer Cunha after that. But there's a strong argument to say that actually Wissa has the next 4 fixtures, the next block of 4, Wissa has a better fixture every single game week during that period. Every single game week between Game Week 25 and 28, I believe that Wissa has a better fixture. Of course, Wissa isn't on penalties, but his numbers are a lot better. Then we get to Game Week 29 and 30, to be fair. Cunha has a much better fixture in Game Week 29 and 30 than Brentford, who face Bournemouth away and Newcastle away. So from 29 onwards, it's Cunha season. But prior to that, the next 4, I think I prefer Wissa. But that said, I don't think there's any problem with going for Cunha. He is in this conversation. There's many players who aren't even in this conversation. So if I had to choose one between Wissa and Cunha, right now, I think I would go for Wissa. But there's no problem with Cunha. If you said, oh, I think I'll go for Cunha instead, I still think that's a fabulous transfer move. It's not great for Game Week 25 away against Liverpool, and for a lot of people, they might need someone for right now. And that is more likely to be Wissa or Ollie Watkins. Now, what do we say about him? How do we get him into the team? I think there's various routes. So I'll go on my team. I still haven't made a transfer yet this week, so I'm not logged in. Hold on, guys. Let me just log into my FPL account, and then I'll have a look. But just to go through some options, I think certainly two-factor authentication. Certainly, I think if you have someone like Bruno Fernandes and you can downgrade him to a Bournemouth guy, or if you have Gordon and you can downgrade him to a Bournemouth guy, and that allows you to upgrade maybe Gakpo, but more likely Ndai or Jackson to a Watkins, or Joao Pedro as well is another player I would seriously be considering selling in the forward position. Then I would do it. And I think if you have a midfielder to downgrade, this is a really good opportunity for you to go for Watkins. If, however, you're a little bit more like me, I don't really know how to get Watkins. I will have to take a hit, but I'm not really sure where I would take a hit. I wouldn't sell Isak for Watkins. I don't think I'd do that. But just going through some of Watkins' fixtures as compared to the other guys, Ipswich and Liverpool, both at home. It's a double game week, and Ipswich is a good fixture. Fabulous. Chelsea at home after that, I think it's a decent fixture. Crystal Palace away, Brentford away. Crystal Palace is kind of mid, kind of average fixture, but Brentford away, I think that's good enough for Aston Villa there as well, for Ollie Watkins to get some returns. So even though Watkins does blank in 29, I think the fixtures prior to that, if you can get 5 games out of him in 4 game weeks, it could easily be worth having him in the short term and then selling him in game week 29. It could definitely be worthwhile. It could definitely be worthwhile. So, going back to those of you who don't have a midfielder to downgrade, if your midfield is pretty much set, it's going to be more difficult. It's going to be much more difficult. And I'm not really sure how to do it unless you have money in the bank. You're going to need to have money in the bank. Because we're not going to downgrade Trent now that he's available. How do you do it? Oh, my screen share's blank. Apologies. Yeah, that's while I was logging in. I didn't even think about that. So yeah, sorry. Just to have a look at Aston Villa fixtures again. It's a good run. It's a good run between now and game week 29 where we have the blank. And if your midfield is set, I think you're going to struggle to get Watkins in. It will take a hit. You're going to have to sell him again later. I don't know if it's worthwhile. I don't know if it's worthwhile. But, for example, if you had if you had like Fernandes instead of Kluivert or Mbeumo or something like that, or Gordon, I think you got a really nice opportunity here to take a punt on Watkins. For me, don't think it's going to be possible. I think it's going to be Wissa for me. And this is the transfer move I've been looking at all week. And Watkins being available, as nice as it would be, if I had the money in the bank, I would, and you know, if I could do it for free, one straight transfer to Watkins, I think I would do it. However, simply not an option for me to do it for free. And even for a hit, there's not really anyone in my team that I'd be willing to sell. Because I quite like my team right now. So, yeah, if you have the opportunity, I say go for it. I say go for it. But for a lot of people, there's not going to be that option. So we've gone through all of the most important team news, I think. We've covered the forwards. We've spoken about Watkins. So I think we go to questions in the chat now for 15 minutes or so. And then I'm going to take a break. I'm going to get some food. I'm going to do a little bit more research. And then we'll be back for the deadline stream. And the deadline stream, by the way, guys, will be at 4:30 UK time. So 2 hours from now, we'll be back for a deadline stream. But I do want to try and answer some of your questions now. For those of you guys in the UK skiving off work right now, potentially, should be working, but instead, the real priority is FPL, guys. I know that more than ever. Yeah, let's go through the chat here. So, first of all, let's have a look at some of the members' chats here. Got to prioritise the members to thank them for supporting the channel. Mebel says, hey Dan, Gordon and Ahmad for Dango and Kluivert for a -4. Don't really think there's a need for a -4 there. You could just do Gordon to Kluivert, to be honest. I don't think that's a necessary -4. I like Dango, but I don't know if it's worth taking a hit for him. Mark says, lots of people asking about Isak to Watkins for a -4. Definitely not. Definitely not. Particularly, okay, let's say if you are not planning on free hitting in game week 29, definitely not. But if you are planning on free hitting in game week 29, I mean, maybe. Let's just get up the fixture calendar I posted yesterday, just for reference here. Actually, that's not very good. Can't see that very well, can you? Let's go here and then zoom out. That's a little bit better. So yeah, if looking through this, if you think you can navigate game week 29 without the use of a free hit, and you want to save your free hit for the bigger and scarier game week 34, then taking a hit now, I don't know if it's worth it, man. Would I do it for free? If you're free hitting in game week 29, I think I would move Watkins to Isak for free. I think I would. If you're free hitting, would I take a -4 for it? Even that is I'm not super convinced by that move. Not super convinced for a hit. I mean, because your hit really... Okay, let's assume that Watkins blanks against Liverpool. Let's assume. Or even if he doesn't, like, you know, there's a small chance he gets a goal and an assist. So let's say we're predicting against Liverpool, Watkins scores 4 points, let's say. So that's the hit. Then we just need to compare Isak against Man City and Watkins, who is just coming back from an injury, probably reduced minutes, probably only plays 65 minutes against Ipswich. What is better? Isak 90 minutes against Man City or Watkins 65 minutes against Ipswich? Most people would say Watkins, but it's not like nailed on. It's not like obviously better, is it? Like, Man City are still conceding goals, still conceding chances. They've just conceded 3 goals in the Champions League. How many was it against Arsenal? Was it 6? So they are conceding goals. Did I say Real Madrid? No, conceded 4 goals against PSG. Why did I think they were playing? No, they did play Real Madrid. Yeah, I thought I was going crazy for a second there. They played PSG in the last round where they conceded 4 goals, by the way. Conceded 3 goals against Real Madrid. Conceded against Leyton Orient. 5 goals against Arsenal. Even conceded against Club Brugge, Chelsea. 4 goals conceded against PSG. Particularly when you look at the better teams here. PSG, Arsenal, Real Madrid. Newcastle can easily score twice against Man City. And if they do, then it's going to be Isak, isn't it? I'd be interested to see what the Rob T market projections are on this. But I imagine it'll be fairly similar. So let's see here. Maybe not super similar. Isak 0.53 projected goals, Watkins 0.72. But that's not taken into account minutes. So maybe it is a little closer. I think for free, if you're, like I said, if you're doing it for free and you're going to free hit in game week 29, I think I would do it. If you're taking a hit and are free hitting in game week 29, I would still be tempted to do it, to sell Isak for Watkins. But if you're not free hitting in game week 29, for free, again, maybe, but for a hit, no. So, as always, it's team dependent, it's strategy dependent, but hopefully we've covered all bases there. Hopefully. But no, I genuinely think Isak can cook against Man City. But there's a lot of temptation there, for sure. Right, let's have a look at some of these other questions here. Any update on Konsa injury? Yeah, Konsa is going to be out this game week. What if you had 4 free transfers and not free hitting? If you have 4 free transfers right now, then you have so much more flexibility that yeah, I would do it for free. Yeah, if you have 3 free transfers, I'd do it for free. So there we go. Double game week 32 has been confirmed. 32. What? But that's a Champions League quarter-final at the same time. Oh my word. Okay, game week 36, double game week is cooked, by the way. It's done. It is cooked. Wow. Okay, this is significant news. I'm glad I'm streaming at the time that we got the news, because then we can react to it live. That's surprising. Even if Ben Krellin is surprised, then you know it's unexpected. This is unprecedented, man. I can't believe Premier League games are going to be going on at the same time as Champions League games. So, there we go, guys. Game week 32. Newcastle will play Manchester United and Crystal Palace, and Palace will play Man City and Newcastle. That's pretty good for free hitters, I think. It's pretty good for free hitters. Game week 29 free hitters. Because then you get to keep all of your Newcastle and Manchester, keep your Newcastle and Crystal Palace players. You know what? This may screw up everything about what we just said about Watkins. Maybe not everything. But that is significant. So now that, even if you are free hitting in game week 29, you're going to want to have, you're going to want to save your wild card for later. So that's not really going to be an option. Could you do a hokey cokey? Maybe. But yeah, the Newcastle triple up for game week 32 is so on. And you know what is even more significant? If Newcastle keep progressing in the FA Cup, and I think they will, suddenly Newcastle can have back-to-back double game weeks in game week 32 and 33. So game week 36 double game week is cooked at this point. Like, at this point, it is now unlikely that there will be any doubles in game week 36. Still possible, but it's unlikely. But game week 32 and game week 33, we could be looking at back-to-back doubles for Newcastle here. So you're going to want to have triple Newcastle in game week 32. Maybe that, in fact, lends favour to the wildcard strategy. So if you're wildcarding in... Let's have a look at the fixtures. So let's just refresh this page. So let's look at Newcastle in isolation here. And we'll go through to game week 33. So, from game week 30, Newcastle will face Brentford, Leicester, Manchester United and Crystal Palace in 32. And then possibly a double of Ipswich and Aston Villa in 33. If you haven't played your assistant manager yet, Eddie Howe in game week 31 is so on. Maybe even Glasner 31. If Crystal Palace progress in the FA Cup. If Crystal Palace, and we'll know this by the game week 30 deadline, by the way. If Crystal Palace make it to the FA Cup semi-final, Glasner is so on. Because there's table bonus here. Against Man City, Bournemouth, Newcastle and Arsenal. So they'll play Crystal Palace if they make it to the FA Cup semi-final. They will play 5 games in 3 game weeks, and 4 of them, based on what we know now, will be table bonus fixtures. That's crazy. Man, you know what's crazy? Like, because there's so much unprecedented stuff going on in FPL right now, I feel like planners like myself have been screwed a little bit. And those who kind of just held their chips and not really ready to use them yet, or maybe more patient managers as well. People who are patient may be benefiting from this, because I think I like that. I think I like the possibility of that. I think it's not super likely, but if that Crystal Palace opportunity comes up, couple of draws in there could be huge. Could be huge. Newcastle as well. None of these games you're going to get table bonus from these 31 to 33, but there's lots of opportunities. But I mean, to be fair, a Newcastle triple up could be pretty good as well as an assistant manager on Newcastle. But yeah, triple Newcastle from game week 30 looks on. I like that a lot. Wow. Okay, well that is unexpected. Usually, like previous years, the Premier League and the Champions League, they always try and avoid each other. They try and make sure the fixtures are never on at the same time. But this season, that's all gone in the bin. Which, that's going to make it so hard. If this is how things are going to be in the future, it's going to be really, really hard to predict fixtures. Really hard. But I think this favours everyone. I think everyone is going to be able to do something with this information. No matter what your strategy is, you're going to be able to do something with this. But yeah, Isak, I'm far more content with keeping him now. Right. Well, anyway, we needed to get that out the way. We'll go back to some of the chats and super chats now. Let's see here. So Leech Crew says, keep, sell Gakpo. I would probably keep him unless you need to take a hit. I would keep him if you would need to take a hit to remove him, unless it favors, some other strategy, some other moves. I'll generally keep Gakpo. If you can sell Gakpo for free, I'd be more tempted, as long as you're making sure you are still tripled up on Liverpool. Start Munoz or Kirkes. I would back Kirkes, I think, given the fixture against Southampton is so nice. Geek Cypriot says Martinelli for Nwaneri and slot for Emery -4. Yeah, I mean, that looks pretty good to me. But wait, why would you sell... Wait. Oh, sorry, slot for Emery. I maybe misunderstood that. No, I wouldn't do that. No, there's no need to take a -4 to move Arne Slot to Emery. No, I definitely wouldn't do that. Martinelli to Nwaneri looks nice, though. I like that move. I would maybe prefer to go for a Bournemouth midfielder if you don't have one already, but Nwaneri is good too. It is good too. Right, what else have we got? Isak triple captain. Oh, I mean, hell yeah, I didn't even consider that. If you still have your triple captainship, somehow, then that is definitely on. That is definitely on in game week 32, and then bench boost 33. Super interesting, man. Super interesting. Right, let's see what other interesting questions we have in the chat. Slots or Emery? I think they're much of a muchness. If you tripled up on Liverpool, then go for Emery. If you don't have a triple up on Liverpool and you have money in the bank, then Slot could be the answer to that. Is Watkins clear? No, I don't think he's clear. Oh, wait. Sorry. You mean clear as in is he clear to play? Yes, he's clear to play. I thought you meant like clear as in like clear of all of the other options. It's a great option, but I don't think he's clear of the other options. But he is available, which is good. Will Rashford play? I would say that the expected minutes of Rashford and Marlon have dropped with the news of Watkins' availability. What else have we got? Would you sell Wood to Watkins and downgrade Gabriel? I wouldn't downgrade Gabriel, no. Does the red card affect Slot in any way? No, not one bit. The assistant manager has nothing to do with the managers. You're picking a team, not a manager. You're picking a team. So any actions that the manager takes... I mean, the big question when the chip was announced was what happens if your manager gets fired whilst your assistant manager is active? And the answer is absolutely nothing, because the manager really doesn't matter. It's just there for visual purposes to make it look more interesting. In terms of the way the chip actually functions, has nothing to do with the assistant manager chip, which is another layer of confusion that this chip has produced this year. Honestly, it's a fun idea, but it's not a very practical idea, this chip. So there we have it. Guys, is there 3 games in Game Week 33? No, sorry, this is just a visual thing. It shows the possibilities, but even that has changed now with the news we received today. So maybe I should just remove that from the screen so it doesn't confuse anyone else. Should I wildcard? No, definitely not. Any other good questions? Would you go Bruno to Mbermo? Probably not, no. Probably not. I'd only sell Bruno if you're downgrading him to upgrade someone else. Bench Palmer? No, no way. Do we not remember what happened last time Palmer played against Brighton? I think FPL tweeted about it, didn't they? Yeah, 25-pointer. Don't want to be benching that, man. Don't want to be benching that. Not one bit. Nwaneri to Gordon and Emery to Moyes for a -4. If that's the only way to do it, then maybe. If you can't afford the straight upgrade. You mean Moyes to Emery, right? If that's the only way to upgrade Moyes to Emery, then maybe. But again, I'd be looking at Bournemouth midfielders before Arsenal midfielders. Jack with a super chat says, "Hey mate, bench one of Konsa, Timber or Munoz." We definitely bench Konsa because he's injured. Timber or Munoz. I think Timber gets you the clean sheet. Munoz has the attacking threat, right? I think I'd take a risk and go for Munoz, but Timber is the safer pick out of those two. But if it was me, I like a risk a bit more. Mark says, Gakpo to Wissa for free. Have Emery as the assistant manager. No, I don't think so. I don't think there's a need to do that as a standalone transfer. Gakpo was a single game week. If he's unavailable for Wolves, but is available for Aston Villa, he's got a fairly good single game week. Wissa also has a single game week, so I don't think you really benefit from that. Play Gakpo. I would still play Gakpo. There's still a chance he plays on Sunday. But he hasn't trained. That's the only thing. There's still a chance, though. Or, get some minutes off the bench. I still think he's worth playing. Anyone asking about benching Palmer, don't bench Palmer. We will do a bench list, of course, in the deadline stream later. And I think a lot of these questions are bench related. A lot of people asking injury and team news questions that we have already answered in the stream. So yeah, guys, if you are looking for injury news in particular, and you're joining this stream late, go back and watch the start, because we hopefully have got you covered in that one. But we are going to start to wrap up. Before we do, I'd just like to give a shout out to the regular sponsors of the channel, who are Sleeper, who do draft fantasy. They do predictor leagues. You can win some big prizes. I'm running a fixture predictor mini league on the Sleeper app, and if you want to join in on that, if you haven't done already, you can do so by clicking the link at the top of the description. And every month we're giving away football shirts, we're giving away Amazon vouchers, and we're giving away a PlayStation 5 actually for the winner of that league. New leagues start every month, so get involved, give it a go, get prepared and ready to start for the March league, because we are running out of months for you guys to try and win some prizes there. It's very easy to play. I can't show it on screen because it's a mobile app, but can I show it on my phone? I don't see why not. I may as well do my predictions now. I was going to do them in the break between streams, but I may as well do it now. But let me show you how it works, guys. The draft league is really cool. I'm actually playing in a draft league against Let's Talk FPL this week. It's like head-to-head draft. It's really, really fun. So I'm going head-to-head with Let's Talk FPL for my draft league this week. But in terms of the prize league that I'm running, really, really simple. You just go through the fixtures and you just click on who you think is going to win. So we have a Brighton versus Chelsea fixture here. I'm going to go for a draw, because I don't have that much faith in Chelsea. And then we can go to the other fixtures. Arsenal to beat Leicester, Aston Villa to beat Ipswich, etc., etc. Takes about, if you've already thought about football this month, or this week, it was going to take you 20 seconds to get your predictions in, and you have a great chance of winning huge prizes. So get involved, link at the top of the description. A couple of super chats coming in, of course they do at this moment. Matt says, Gakpo to Nunez, no, or Wissa and Moyes to slot. Definitely the Wissa route. Definitely the Wissa route. There's no way I can possibly, with a straight face, recommend buying Darwin Nunez on this channel. It'd be like me recommending Jackson, and who would do that? Ross here says, Palmer and Raul to Trossard and Watkins. No, I cannot bring myself to sell Palmer. I just couldn't bring myself to sell Palmer. And Palmer's underrated, man. I know he hasn't been getting 100 pointers every week, and that's kind of what we've grown to expect from him. But you look at recent results. Assist against West Ham. He's got 3 10-pointers between 18 and 21, which is huge. And I think we've all kind of collectively agreed that he's actually been really unlucky not to score more points. I mean, was it an assist he was denied by Madueke scoring from 2 inches out? And a couple other like little occasions like that. Palmer's been unlucky and yet has still scored some pretty good hauls recently. Fixtures are good. Brighton, Aston Villa, Southampton, Leicester. Those Southampton and Leicester fixtures, I think you'll really miss Palmer if you don't have him. Plus, a lot of people have so much value tied up in Palmer. Like for me, for example, let's have a look. I paid 10.8 for him. My selling price is 11 and he's currently 11.2. It's a little tighter now, but that's, you know, that's a consideration. If I sell Palmer now and bring it back in, I lose 0.2 in value. For a player, that's not a must-sell player at all. I would never be so desperate to buy Watkins that I would sell Palmer. But there we go, guys. We're going to leave it there. If you haven't subscribed... no, we're not going to leave it there. There's another super chat. Thank you so much. Rafa says, Disasi guaranteed starter, double game week, given constant out. Yes, but Disasi can't play against parent club Chelsea in Gameweek 25. If you're desperate for a new defender, I would still prefer a Kirkes or a Howson at Bournemouth. But if you really want to go for Disasi for the double game week, go for it. It's not really a double game week, though. Like, think about it. Liverpool is the second fixture. There's no clean sheets there. Right, now we really are ending the stream. Guys, if you haven't subscribed yet, I would massively, massively appreciate it. We are aiming for 220,000 subscribers this season, and it's likely to happen within the next couple of weeks, and I can only do that with your help. So please do hit the subscribe button, and if you want to turn notifications on, that's totally cool too, because we will be back streaming again in about an hour and a half, where we'll be doing a full-length 2-hour deadline stream. So I'm going to take a little bit of a break, and we're going to be back for a nice big stream in about an hour and a half. So hopefully see a few of you guys there. Hit the subscribe, hit the like. Thank you so much for joining me once again today, and I will see you in an hour and a half. Bye-bye.